Before we get into the meat of this topic, we have to get into the basic differences between the games. I'm going to assume people watching this series, as well as my amazing subscribers, know how to play Magic or Yu-Gi-Oh! Or both. This isn't going to be a how to play video or tutorial or anything. If you want to learn how to play Magic or Yu-Gi-Oh!, Google is your friend, and there are very good resources out there for both games. I want to compare the games because it's something I hear people talk about all the time, but they never really go that deep into detail about it. Keep in mind, Magic and Yu-Gi-Oh are two of the biggest competitive card games out right now, and have outlasted pretty much all of their competition except for each other. This little series will compare major aspects of both games, and then with a final thoughts wrap up sort of video. With the series, I hope to open a bit of make like an open dialogue between Magic and Yu-Gi-Oh players and hopefully get them to try each other's game. With DevPro and XMage being a great free way to play Yu-Gi-Oh and Magic respectively. Giving one or the other a try is extremely easy. I enjoy both games, and I think most people would too if they gave one or the other a chance. With that being said, let's jump in. Let's jump just right into it. At first, they seem completely different. Magic has a whole resource control element, where in Yu-Gi-Oh you just play cards. Now that isn't exactly true. Magic does use lands and the mana system, but Yu-Gi-Oh has a huge resource management aspect of its own. It's monsters. The monsters in Yu-Gi-Oh have a huge range of effects and do all sorts of different things. The fundamental difference between Magic and Yu-Gi-Oh is how their fundamental resources are used. In Magic, you play lands and use the mana they produce to play different cards. For example, if I have two lands in play, I tap them, turn them sideways, and to produce mana, then use that mana to play a spell that costs two. Now these lands don't die or anything after I tap them. They simply untap at the start of my next turn, and I can use them again. On my next turn, hopefully I'll have another land to play, so I'll have 3 land, and I can play a card that costs 3 mana. It just sort of builds on top of itself. You cast bigger and better cards the more the game progresses. In Magic, your resources, land, never go away unless somebody plays a card that specifically destroys them or alter them in some way. There are cards that do that. There are even some decks specifically built around that. But in Yu-Gi-Oh, you're basically trading out your monsters for bigger ones, whether it be combining them for an Xyz, a fusion, a synchro, or just a straight tribute. In Yu-Gi-Oh, if you want to play a big monster, generally you have to destroy one of your own smaller monsters. If I want to summon this Frostosaurus, for example, I have to tribute, send to the graveyard, one of the monsters I already have in play. Once I tribute that monster, it's gone. There isn't really anything more I can do with it. And mechanics like Xyz, Fusion, and Synchros, a lot of the times have you use more than one monster as a tribute or overlay or fusion material, whatever the mechanic you're using calls it. The main idea being, once I use up these small monsters, they're gone. It's like chopping down an apple tree for firewood. You're totally depleting one resource to gain a potentially better one. Because of this, Yu-Gi-Oh is generally a much faster game than Magic, and as they say, the flame that burns twice as bright lasts half as long. This is the fundamental difference between the games. Magic compiles and builds on itself, where in Yu-Gi-Oh you just go in hard and you go in fast. This is generally why most people prefer over the other. I personally like Magic better, and I do think it takes a little bit more skill to play well than Yu-Gi-Oh. Um, that's not to say I dislike Yu-Gi-Oh though. Yu-Gi-Oh is a fun, fast-paced game where you see a lot of neat, flashy plays. It's like comparing the chess match, to an action video game. Chess is fun because of the immense strategy and thought that goes into it. You're just constantly trying to outthink your opponent and outplay them. Where in an action video game, although it can require some strategy to, say, beat a hard level or get around a certain obstacle, something like that, it's fun because the senseless violence and adrenaline rush you get from playing it. That's really all I wanted to say about the basic aspects of the game. Tune in next time where we talk about the different formats of each game. As always, guys, thanks for watching. Will out.